Yes, sir. Okay, so it's for a brief introduction. Good evening, everyone, and we are really pleased to have all of you here today. To give Atticus Advisors is a management consulting firm which also provides training for corporate skill developments. Atticus also provides certification courses and other programs, followed by life project opportunities, which enable students to build their profile for entrance preparations, job interviews, higher studies, and holistic upskilling. For today's session, we have onboarded Mr. Partho Sharathi Ghosh. He is an electrical engineer from Techno India, Kolkata, and an MBA in finance from NMIMS Mumbai. He has over 7 to 8 years of experience ranging from sales, operations, analytics, and management consulting also. He has got extensive experience in sectors like retail, pharma, BFSI, insurance. He has been pivotal in converting as well as servicing a large number of clients from Atticus Advisors in both management consulting and service operations. Today's webinar will be taken by him. We thank you, Partho sir, for giving us time for today's session. Now it's time to hand over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, Sonika, for the kind words. A little bit before we start, if at any point of time, because of network connectivity issues, and I'm quite sure everybody in this entire group has already been very tired of webinars. I've been part of webinars now for more than 1.5 months because of the unspeakable that is outside all of our homes. So I'm going to be speaking a little slowly. If at any point of time anyone has any audio issues or something, the best trick to do is just disconnect immediately and then connect back. You would be back onto the network. That's one. Second is you would be able to see a chat window right here in Zoom. If at any point of time you have something to ask, you just raise your hand and we will be able to see that. Okay. So all you have to do is just raise your hand and one of us will be able to see that and you can reply. Or else you can type in your group chat. Great. Just getting into the things. I've split today's agenda. Mostly first would be proceeding with marketing, explaining certain fundamentals of business model design. Following that, we would have a brief session on TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, and looking at how their P&L works. This is just to give you a small flavor of how uh, businesses look at companies and how do businesses interpret data. Uh, before anything else, if anybody has any questions at any time, you would know that you can raise your hand. If I have certain questions, as I'm sure has been already mentioned by Sunipa before, there would be these Amazon moments where we would be handing out vouchers worth rupees 500 for each question. I would be pausing at that point of time, and all of you have the opportunity to respond on WhatsApp. So nowhere else but WhatsApp. So you would have to pick up your phone. So if my question is, who is the current Prime Minister of India? All you have to do is pick up your phone and respond here. First response that we get in WhatsApp, that person, that lady or that gentleman would be getting an Amazon voucher with 500. The winners would be declared right at the end of this. All right, getting to it. I don't want to speak too much about the program right now. It's something that I would be talking about while we're going through. Bring up over. In order to introduce you to the concept of a business model, I would first like all of you to understand there's a difference between jargon, there's a difference between words that are commonly used or colloquials, as the word is, and technical terms. When and if most of you are going to be pursuing your MBA and you're going to be part of management, which means you're all going to be managers or business leaders, you have to remember that jargon or common words commonly used in marketing or in finance are not okay, because there is a specific meaning to each of the words that you're using. There's a technical meaning, there's a technical definition assigned to it. So throwing around a word is not okay. I'll explain to you today with the help of one single value chain or one single example. And again, at any point of time, any one of you has any questions, we will deal with. First is, let me pick up this example with Sunipa. Can we have a bit of role play here, Sunipa? If you don't mind unmuting your phone. Sorry,
Yes,
you.
yes,
Great.
sir.
So, Sunipa, let's do a short role play. let's start with this, that you are the one who has come up to us and I'm a consultant, and you have come up with a couple of business ideas that are in your mind. So just help with one, just start with any business idea that you can think of. Maybe it can be in the range of something in automobile, something it can be in the range of food, anything.
So maybe like booking cabs through app.
Okay, booking cabs through app. Okay, so I was hoping for a food related example, but that's absolutely fine. So what Sunipa just said is booking business. The definition is booking cabs through app. The statement written here is called a business idea. So at any point of time, if someone tells you, hey, I have a great business idea or a business plan or a project plan or a business model, you first have to ask them what is the core or the essence of their business. As Sunipa just mentioned, it is booking a cab through an app. It's very simple, all right? Sounds great, right? At this point of time, if you have enough funding and enough budget, let's do this. But can Sunipa use this simple idea or this simple example, this simple line to get funding? Can she start a company with this one line? No. There has to be a follow-up. There has to be more detail. The next level of detail. Let us say booking of cabs through a mobile Android plus iOS application using a budget of rupees 50 lakhs for app sales support and in Mumbai. Do you see the difference between these two lines? The first case, it is booking cabs through an app. Sounds great, but then also sounds vague, sounds unspecific, sounds unclear. There are lots of elements missing in this. The second statement, which is booking of a cab through a mobile application, which is either Android or OS, using a budget in Mumbai. What are the critical things that have been defined here? Number one, objective, which is booking of cab. Number two, budget, 50 lakhs. Number three, area, Mumbai. Number four, operation. So for now, this part is blank, right? You have not really thought of what operation. Is there anything else missing here? If I was to say that this is a business plan or a project plan, and if any one of you have work experience, you guys would be on top of this right now. And this is again an Amazon moment. Sorry. Yes. Right. So this is an Amazon moment. Apologies for the cheesiness. What is one more area that I haven't covered? This was the business idea. This was the business plan. Is there anything missing from my business plan? There is objective, there is budget, there is scope, there is operations. Is there something missing? I'll give it a few more seconds. If any one of you wants to respond or give it a shot, or if you can just respond on your WhatsApp group right now. Do not DM any of us. You can just put in the WhatsApp group. I'm going to count till 5. What is missing from this business plan that should definitely be here? What is missing from this business plan which should definitely be here? All right, so I don't see any takers. Why don't I answer? All right, it's name of the company. Well, Ishani, thank you for your response. Good try. Unfortunately, your name of the company, somebody's in the chat also. Promotion. No, I didn't. Apologies. No. So apologies to both of you. That's good try. That's promotion. Comes a little later. You said name of the company. Let's just, can I just call that as branding? That also comes later. No. In your business plan, the next and most important thing, which is missing from your business plan, is your milestone slash deadline. Your business idea is of no use to anyone in this world. There are more million-dollar business ideas in the dustbins of IIT Kharagpur than there will ever be in this entire world, and that's a fact. That study was once done by an IIT Kharagpur guy. Your business plan, on the other hand, is going to get you that funding, is going to get you that money. For people or students here in marketing or focused on marketing, your first thought is, how do I sell what I have? In order for you to sell an idea, you need to convert it into a business plan. This is a business plan. Operations, let me just make it simpler. Let me remove operations for now so that I have just the core basics, not the other ones. Objective, budget, scope, and milestone. The moment you talk to someone, you say the objective is booking a cab with a budget, with this scope, and deadline is this. Then a person is interested in understanding what your business plan is, wants to go to the next level of detail, wants to understand what your business idea is. You can have a very good business plan with absolutely no name of the company. Your promotion is something which will come a little later in your business plan, but will not be an essential part. You can still have a business plan with or without the promotion angle. But well tried. And I will tell you how that comes in. Now we will come to the most technical part to be found in a business model, in a business related conversation. Guys, I have a business plan. मेरे पास एक business plan है. मुझे एक business plan है मेरे पास. मेरे पास एक business model है. नहीं. There's a difference. Business idea अलग था, business plan अलग था. Business model अलग है. Revenue. What gets you revenues and what gets you profit? Your business model will consist of boxes, which I will show you in just a minute, which will talk about what will going to get you revenue and what will constitute as your cost. In your revenues, you will have promotion. Your cost will also have a part of your promotions, which will be a marketing budget. That will be a marketing spend. Apologies, somebody is just texting me. Right. Sales, cost, factors of production. Right. You're right here. Right. What else? Factors of production, let's keep it to a side. It will come to the next level, which is not at this stage. You will have your channel partners. You will have your employees. You will have your sales budget, which would be commissions. You would have your production cost. All right. So your business model will consist of boxes that you have made. And each box will have a certain fixed component which is unmovable or unchangeable. So let's do the business model for Sunipa's example. We are helping Sunipa make that company. Okay. So let us say channel. So who is going to be the revenue stream? Let me make it an Amazon moment. Who will be the revenue stream for your cab idea? People can give it a try. I think that is marketing guys, salespeople. Hmm. I think let me make myself a little clearer, Irene. Who or which stakeholder will give you money? If your business plan is this, who is going to give you money? So booking cabs through app. Let's become a little more technical. Fair enough. Let's do this. You will have cab driver, right? You will have uh, your customer. You will have your government. These are the three people you would be mostly interacting with, right? Who are you going to be charging money from? VCs? Nope, nope, nope. That's not again. If you are going to tell VCs that you are going to be the source of my money, then there's a problem. Right. Thank you, Irene. Very good. Thank you, Ishani. Thank you, Irene. Your money is going to come from the customer. Okay. Fair enough. Very good business model. Okay. So in business model one, your revenue stream is customer. Can your cab driver also give you money? You now understand what language I'm talking about, guys, which is the technical part. So when the question is who is giving you money, the money is always given by the customer. That is the definition of a customer. The person who is going to pay you is going to be the customer. Another example, just a side note on this, and we'll just spend a few more minutes on this. Let's talk about a school. All of you have obviously studied in schools and your fees has been paid, I'm guessing, by your guardians, by your parents or your guardians. Who is the customer there, and who is the customer there in that case? This is like an Amazon 200 moment, but let's make it an Amazon 500 moment. Anybody wants to give a shot? Who? Mobile. Let's use the very good. Absolutely. Which is your customer is your parent, because your parent is the one who's actually spending the money. Now, who's the consumer? Who is the consumer? It is you. Because you are the one who is eventually going to be consuming the product. So your school is providing a service slash product. Let's not get into that argument. Your parent is paying for it, but it is eventually for you. So for the school, original thought was always to make the experience better for the consumer. So again, there's a technical word here, which is when a lot of people say you have to improve the customer experience. When a school wants to improve the customer experience, it is not going to concern itself about how parents are going to see it, but mostly about how students are going to see it. I digress. I'm sorry. So you've got two revenue streams. You can also charge your cab driver, right? How do you charge your cab driver? If it's up to you. I'm not saying it is a good business model. It is a business model. How do you charge the cab driver? You tell the cab driver, hey, if you are going to be a part of my app, because Sunipa is making it, Sunipa is like, no, I want everyone to pay me money. So Sunipa is making a business. She's like, if the cab driver wants to enroll with me, he has to pay me 10,000 bucks enrollment fee. Then your revenue is also coming from your cab driver. By the way, Ola does that. Ola calls it a deposit and other stuff and says it's a one-time cost for a setup, but that one-time cost is also a revenue because they make a margin over there. All right. So that's what Sunipa is planning to do is quite standard. All right. Now let's look at costs. What is going to be the single biggest cost for Sunipa? I mean, running her business. That's what I mean. Quick. Anybody can think? In this entire bit, as you can see, what is going to be the single biggest cost this business model? What is going to be the single biggest cost? No. Okay. I should not say no without explaining. So let me write cabs. Fair enough. Let's have cabs there. Let's have maintenance. Did you mean maintenance of cabs, Irene, by the way? Let me put maintenance separately and let me put cab maintenance again. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to give it a go? कोई और कोशिश करना चाहता है? Any other expenses that this business model would have? Any other expenses? Taxes. Ishani is way ahead of the curve. She's like, पैसा बना नहीं बना अपने को टैक्स तो पे करने का है. Very true. Anything else? Okay. It is going to be IT applications. Single biggest cost for this company will always be IT applications. That's going to be the first cost they are going to think of. The number of people who are going to be enrolling on your mobile app, who are going to be booking a cab, who are going to be making payments, registering themselves, putting phone numbers, OTP generation, and you have to maintain encryption and you have to maintain security and safety. That will be your biggest is IT app. After that, the next biggest expense would be your sales slash channel fund. Sorry. Now, unless the people in this group have been living in a cave or something, all of you have heard of Ola and Uber. How have you heard of it? Right? I'm guessing it started as word of mouth, where somebody might have mentioned it to you. But for others, social media, right? In advertisements, if we get a little bit more specific, because advertisement is a massive word. First is social media. If people in this group are working professionals, then at your place of work, there are tie-ups with Ola and Uber. For example, at my previous place of work, there was a tie-up with Ola or Uber. वहाँ पे क्या था? वहाँ पे if you have an Ola corporate card, I can book a cab from Ola and the bill will go to my employer. So I don't have to pay for it. Ola had to do that tie-up with my previous company and make sure that I can do these. What is the best advantage of that? Tracking. At any point of time, auto ka jhanjat, iska jhanjat, accounting, tracking, all of that is forgotten, right? So the company, my employer, will just look at one report. Where has Partho's average distances have been? They get a complete dashboard. From 1st to 30th, these are the places that he has visited. This is the average time it has taken. This is the average price discount. We have put a discount, and this is your final, right? Is this not extremely useful in terms of data for the client? For my employer, my company. He is absolutely going to be making very specific data-based decisions whether I should be going to a certain place or not. Now he has got data to suggest or interpret whether it was a worthwhile trip or not. Earlier it was sort of a budget given, and then I would just tell him, हाँ मैं 3 दिन वहाँ गया था यहाँ गया. I am not getting into the trust part here, whether he trusts me or he trusts his salesperson or not. Let us say that he does. To do that, somebody in Ola or Uber had to come and speak to my company. That person would be getting a salary. That is called your channel partnership, the sales or channel partnership. The second biggest cost would be the salary of these people. Now, these people are going to be smart people like you all marketing grad, fresh cut, income, know absolutely what they're talking about. They know a business plan is different from a business model, from a business idea and everything. They are going to be talking to my company, whoever in my company, the facilities people, the cab people, the sales people, marketing people, whoever. and they are going to be telling why they should partner with Uber. So their salaries are not going to be tiny. A friend of mine is doing that for Uber, by the way. He is earning a decent amount in Uber. All right. So your first cost is IT applications. Your second cost is following ahead would be support. Let me just show you a snapshot of one slide if you would. This is a business model canvas. It is very technical, talks about most of the things that I've covered here. Where are you going to get your revenues from? Where are you going to get your costs from? Who are you going to be hiring? What are your channels? What are your customer relationships? What types of customers you would have? So I did not get into too much detail there. It's going to be a very long conversation, which is segmenting your customer, which is going to be an individual or corporate. What kind of work you will be doing, and who you would be partnering. Now let's come to the crux of the value proposition. And I'm going to have this as an Amazon housing, right? Typo, do not get excited. It's an Amazon 1,000 question. Does someone want to give this a shot? What is the value proposition? One of you can speak up here. You guys want? You can unmute yourself and speak up. No worries. Does anyone want to give it a shot? What is the value proposition for this company? What is the value proposition for this company which Sunipa has started? Come on, anybody can try. I mean, one of you could actually Google it. I would not like it. I would not appreciate it, but you could actually Google this. Give it a few more seconds. Someone wants to give it a shot. Either you can type it or you can read it out or anything. Okay. Value proposition is one of the most important things any one of you in marketing is ever going to learn ever. Your understanding of value proposition and your explanation of value proposition in your career or in whichever, in a marketing related field, be it management consulting, is going to differentiate you in your career. And if you start your own company, it's going to differentiate you in your line of business. Value proposition is what is the customer willing to pay in order to obtain value. What is the customer paying for? Let's take a couple of examples. Let's take the three most far-fetched examples. First, Colgate. Well, the Colgate, I mean the Colgate toothpaste. Next, Hayat dinner. Next, Marriott apartment. service apartment. Uh, Honda. Right. I've simplified this to just talk about a couple of common products that we are aware of and we understand. All of these are things or objects or items or services for which uh, you are paying money. What is the value proposition for Colgate? What is the value proposition for Colgate? Does someone want to give it a try? Irene? Customer satisfaction. Okay. Uh, I am personally never going to get satisfied with Colgate toothpaste, but well tried. And a very, you are sort of going to the next stage of replies because customer satisfaction will come a little later. For Colgate toothpaste, value for money. Cannot be expensive. Next, refreshing. Next, if it is that gel thing, it has to be great flavor or taste. What are you guys paying for? Convenience in storage. Get the 5 rupee one, the 10 rupee, the 15 rupee, the one sachet, the big one, the family pack, 3 in 1, 4 in 1, all of that, right? That is the value proposition which Colgate has. When all of these are culminated together, you would get customer satisfaction. So your end objective after fulfilling all of these values per se, you will have customer satisfaction from a customer. Honda City. What is the value proposition? Style. I have not put the absolute luxury segment here. I've put the premium segment here, but not the luxury. Style, comfort, service, quality in driving. By service, I meant servicing actually, which is if there are servicing related issues, then quality in driving, which means when you're driving. Offers. Could you explain that a little bit more, Irene? What do you mean by offers? All right. So in Honda City, when Honda is going to be selling its car, calling it Honda City, when you get it, right? So that's discount. So that comes a little later. That's not your value proposition. Be very clear. Your value proposition is about your product. Your product ka value proposition kya hai? What you're saying is the way to sell it, which is pricing, which is offers, discounts, 1+1, and so on. If your Honda City is cheap, overall, that is a value proposition. Okay, the technical difference, which I will come just in the next one. That's style, comfort, service, quality, quality in driving, esteem, not the car, but the feeling which you drive. All right, that is the value proposition. If you are driving a Merc, if you are driving an Audi, if you're driving a Lamborghini, the esteem would be right here, right? So the value proposition for a Lamborghini is going to be rank 1, is right, is average. I don't think somebody is going to buy a Honda City first for average. Average would be like the 5th point. By average, I understand you mean mileage, right? Maruti Zen, first point, average. Look at the price segment, look at the product segment, product category, Honda City. Where is Honda City and where is Maruti Zen, right? Maruti Zen, practical car, gets you from A to B, has to be get you from A to B at the right price. Okay at comfort, okay at style, should be very good in service quality, which means if there's a part problem in there's a problem related to parts in Maruti Zen, that then it has to be replaced properly. Esteem, not so much for Maruti Zen. Style, not so much for Maruti Zen. Comfort, very important. The people who would be boarding it have spent money on this for comfort, as opposed to some other option which they had, probably a scooter or public transport or so on. A Honda City guy is someone who has anyways either been traveling in Maruti Zens or has been traveling in other segments which are in the premium segment, right? He wants to uplift himself, right? So the value proposition why someone buys Honda City is this. First is given style, given comfort, given service. So now, suppose you are called and somebody has called you, invited you into the company and said, hey, you know what? You're the new product manager for Honda City. So you're sitting there and you're looking at how do I make Honda City more attractive or whatever. And you do something incredible because of which it looks absolutely weird. Can anyone think of this example? This example is a massive failure in the cars. This is coffee. Bad throat. Apologies for that. मारुति जैन के नीचे एक एग्जाम्पल आया था जो कि इतिहास में लिखा गया था, which was Maruti Zen Estilo, where they thought the value prop was style. Zen and Estilo, Maruti Zen and Maruti Zen Estilo were two cars which basically did the same thing, had about the same amount of specs, but Estilo priced itself more just because it looked a little better, and the market swallowed it whole. That's when other players like Alto and smaller hatchbacks came into the game. That if you're going to pay the price for a Zen Estilo, might as well pay for a basic level i10 or something. All right. So when Zen Estilo was being made, people forgot what the value proposition for Zen was. The value prop for Zen was price, which people forgot. All right. Now let's look at these three interesting examples. What is the value proposition for IPL? If somebody says cricket, it would be very interesting. It is not cricket. Value proposition for IPL is entertainment. Very good. Hayat dinner, luxury, ambience, style, speed, premium, service, quality. So if Marriott Seaview Apartments started bringing Malwani food, but forgot about the other part, which is keeping it premium, which is keeping sure the experience is premium, people will not pay for that value proposition. Same for a Hyatt dinner, same for IPL. If IPL becomes really technical right now and is purely worried about cricket, no cheerleaders, no whatever super car or whatever those things are, no boundary games, none of the after-match, none of the pre-match celebrations, just cricket, like a test match, the halls are going to be empty. There was a study conducted why the uniforms were the uniforms. To keep your eyes focused on the game for those 3.5 hours at all points of time. Whereas it is the reverse when we talk about cricket, which is a test match where everybody has to wear whites. That is the rule, because the focus is not on the player but on the game. All right. That is your value proposition. Coming back to this, when you have a company and you have been asked to create a business model canvas, your investor or your VC, which Irene I think I mentioned, is going to see this, going to see this, going to see this. Then he's going to look at this. He's going to figure out, is this value proposition possible? Is this value proposition visible or coming out from this product? The value proposition for this cab company could be price, which is at any point of time, if you take a cab from them, it is cheaper than an auto or the same price as an auto or whatever is the nearest public transport, like normal taxi. If your value proposition is that, then that's a different business model. If your value proposition is experience, customer experience, then that's a different business model. Your Ola now lets you book Mercedes and everything, right? That is a different business model. You would have a different revenue stream. Your cost structure will be different. The channels will be different. So it's important for you to understand that you can't have a one size fit all business model which covers everything. So the next time someone throws the word business model at you, or in even a normal conversation, ask them, hold on, before you talk about your business model, where are you getting your money from? Who is your costs? What are your channels, your resources, your partners, and your value prop? It is likely that you will have lost that friend forever if he is not a management student because he is not aware of all of these things. So it is wiser that when someone tells you about the business model, listen to him and do not interrupt. What you have right now in front of you is the standard business way of representation of a business model. It is technical. Every word here is standard and is accepted in whichever part of the world you go to. And hence, this is an accepted way to have a conversation. Great. I hope this was useful. I would like to have a short pause here for a minute while I start with the finance bit of our webinar. I'll talk a little bit about our product now. What we just had now, the marketing advanced like snapshot. I did not cover the fundamentals. I went a little step ahead. Sunipad had informed me that this group is aware of marketing in their basics and have some sort of understanding of what they want, the next steps and everything. This what you have is the marketing advanced course. A summary of this is covered in your fundamentals also. If you do not have a degree in marketing or something, then we advise you to take the fundamentals course and then the advanced course. What you get there if you do the marketing advanced course is completion of all of these sessions, which will be covered by someone like me or somebody else who would be an industry expert, and we'll be giving you more and more live case studies. Because those case studies have actually been sort of expensive because they've come at the expense of our own experience. We have worked somewhere and we've made those case studies. We don't really go for the free webinar version. The paid ones are the ones where it is available, the paid subscriptions. People who work here who would be doing this would also then eventually after the completion of this course again come back to me, and you would be assisting me with live projects where you would be helping me with my current work on one of my clients. So for example, if one of my clients is working on a business model and you have completed this course along with me, I would ask you, whoever, for example, Shanira, Ivy, whoever participants here, that you would have to conduct a research to make that business model can. And then that's where you learn of what are the practical ways or technical ways of thinking. That's just one of those examples. All right. The same thing happens in your fundamentals course also. In your fundamentals course, when you do this, as you see, we have the business model fundamentals. You cover all four of them, and then you can choose any two projects for any of these subjects. So if you choose, for example, marketing and finance, then you get to work on the business model project with me as well. All right. If anybody has any questions, you can interrupt me at any time. All pricing and scheduling related things are something Sunipa is the go-to lady for that. Absolutely. Anybody has any questions, you can just interrupt me right now and tell me. Otherwise, I will be going ahead to the next section on finance. Any questions from anyone? You can unmute yourself and ask if you want. Any questions, guys? Anything that you want to ask? All right. Going ahead. What I've done right now, yeah. How will the live projects be done? Okay. Thank you for the question, Irene. I'll give you an actual example of a client I was talking to. He wants to start something in the online trainings for companies. So he wants to start a business where he was going to, the platform. Oh, Yeah, it's basically going to be either Excel or PowerPoint. If it is going to be very research oriented, then Microsoft Word. Those are the three platforms. Yeah. So you are going to be very hands-on. You're not going to be expected to work on some fancy tool or something, or you're not going to have to write a project report. I'm going to be asking you to make a business model study or a feasibility study for a market. For example, how many players are there right now who give online training for companies? Okay. Then you go ahead and then you research and you research and then you come back to me. During that process, so it's a 2 week process. I also tell you how to conduct that research because you may or may not be experienced or exposed to structured research. I would be also explaining to you how to conduct research, and then I would be looking at your output, and if it is great enough, then your project is complete, and then you get your certificate. Okay. So I've what I've done here is I've taken screenshots from the annual report for last year for TCS, showing this in front of you. It's a larger document. I've taken screenshots here. Helps with the because there's a lag in it. What you have in front of you are 4 metrics in which companies are there. Finance and the level at which finance will be taught in the fundamentals is a language in which all of you have to be aware of. All of you, if and when, are going to be doing your MBA and you're going to be finding a career in management. You cannot make a business decision without a fundamental understanding of finance, which is people like us after years in the industry, we realize that there are certain lectures, certain assignments, certain topics that, I mean, no matter how much we hate them, they keep coming up because there's no way out. I am, by the way, a finance major and I love finance because of my love for numbers. My work is mostly in marketing, but my knowledge of finance still keeps coming up every now and every year, every so often. The language of finance is accounting, and that is one of the first things that are taught. If you refer to our previous webinar, then we had spoken about accounting there also. You can check out the link later. Sunipa would share that. For now, let's look at how TCS reviews its company based on metrics. There are 4 metrics in front. There's the revenue trend, the client metrics, the operating profit, and the employee metrics. Now, these are numbers. We're not going to get into how the numbers are come, and we're not going to talk about the vague parts of it. I have directly come here to give you a sense of the interpretation of these numbers. All right. So from the year 2015 to 2019, the revenue has increased from 4648 to 46463, which is roughly about 10 times. No, sorry, on 94. From 94 to 146, which is at a compounded annual growth rate of 12.4%. Now, how do we understand whether this number is good or not? Question. How do we understand when this is a metric given in front of you, whether this number is good or not? How do you understand whether TCS has done well, has done whether performance was well or the performance was poor? That's question. When we look at the revenue trend, it seems and it appears that yes, there has been a compounded annual growth rate. The average growth rate of the industry has not been so high. The revenue growth for the entire IT and associated services is somewhere in the lower numbers of 6 to 8%. And in that, they have made it for 12.4%. That sounds promising. Sounds a little promising that, hey, you have beaten the industry growth rate in India, right? We'll come to that in just a minute. Next part, the operating profit trend. What does operating profit trend imply? What? Okay, so maybe I should just start with this. Is everybody aware of what is profit? Profit is revenues minus costs. The entire revenues that you have gotten for a year, you subtract all the costs that you have, and that is the profit. The goal of any business, the objective of any business is to improve its profit. So against a 94,000 crore revenue, it had a profit of 25,000 crore, which means roughly 69,000 crores of cost, right? As you can see, the revenue has increased, profits have also increased at the same. What you see here is the operating margin. The operating margin is the profit percentage or the percent of revenue which is your profit. तो अगर आपके बिजनेस में आपने 94,000 crores कमाया है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप बहुत खुश होकर 94,000 crores को आप स्पेंड कर सकते हैं. You will have to pay certain costs, certain debtors, certain interest, salaries, rents, all of the costs that can possibly be incurred. After which you're left with 26.9% as your profit. Now the original question was, is TCS performing well? Is TCS performing well when it has beaten the market? It appears so, because you look at the compounded annual growth rate, it has beaten the market. The market growth rate is 6 to 8%, so it is 12%. However, when you look at the operating profit trend, you realize that the operating profit has actually gone down, which means to earn 100 rupees, if it used to spend 76 rupees earlier, now it is spending 78 rupees, then 79 rupees and so on, which means that the costs to earn the same amount of money is increasing. The cost to earn the same amount of money is increasing. If this trend continued, had this trend continued, your operating profit would keep on decreasing. So even if you would be getting more revenues, the profit that you would be earning from that would keep on decreasing and will eventually be a loss. However, as it appears for 2019, there is an improvement in its profits margins, improvement in its profit margins from 24.8% to 25.6%. Thus, from 15 to 2018, while TCS revenue was increasing, there was a decrease in its profit margin. However, 2019, its profit margin has improved. Now let's get to the next level. How do I understand that when the profit margin has improved, how do I understand whether the profit margin has improved because I've made more money or because I've incurred less costs? Let me write that down. It's a slightly complicated concept to talk about. Profit is revenues minus appealing. To have more profit, how can you do it? You can have more revenue, same cost, same revenue, less cost, more revenue, less cost. Anything else possible? Yes, sir. You put your own money, you plug it into the profits. You show yourself that you're Vijay Mallya, or you show yourself that you are a fake company like some of those startups like Enron. Please Google up Enron. It's a fun feed. How people ruin how businesses ruin people's lives based on plugging in external money. Read upon Enron. So the only way to show more profit is if you have more revenue and the same cost. You have the same revenue, but you have decreased the cost, and you have more revenue and you have less cost. Why is it important to understand the difference between the three? And I'll wrap it up a little quickly. I understand we're reaching the end of our webinar. Why do we need to distinguish between the three? If it is more revenue at the same cost, it means your salespeople have out. Correct? So, what should you do? Pay more. Correct? What more should you do? Try efficiency methods. When you try an efficiency method, you are going to be decreasing the costs. Let's say same revenue, less cost, which means sales, which means your operations cost has gone down, which is efficiency methods work. So pay your operations managers. Next, think new revenue. Revenue both, then both. You understand the fine difference in interpreting why your company made more profits. It is not just simple enough to understand it made more profits, hence it's great for the company. It's important to understand why it made more. And I have really simplified it and made it into a very linear way of explaining that if the company has made more revenue at the same cost, which means that while your operating people or your operations or your core IT people have been doing the same job in the same rate, but your sales people have worked harder and harder and harder, and hence they've gotten more money, and therefore to pay them more commission. Your focus for the next 2 to 3 years should be buying efficiency methods now, because it is possible that more revenues may not be possible. It is likely that more revenues may not be possible. Your revenues are going to be kind of flattened now. You're going to kind of get the same revenues. It's not going to get another peak like this. So your peak, you may not get another peak, but it's going to be sort of flattened like this. So now would be a time to think about decreasing your costs. One last point, then we can wrap up for today, which is what is your biggest cost? Here is your understanding of the cost. The biggest single contributor to your cost in a company like TCS is your employees. As you can see, this is the headcount. The headcount has also increased proportionately and has again increased here, but not to the same extent as your profits. So the interpretation is, while your headcount has increased, your costs have increased, your profit margin has increased more than that, and hence your sales people have done more. Can I show you this here? This is the number of clients that they had, which is $100 million clients, whereas they got bigger clients here. The peak here is bigger, is more sensitive, which means that the sales people who were working here were not able to convert the bigger $100 million clients, but they have been able to do that in this year. So it was 37, 35, 37, 35, and then it became 44. So the biggest contributor to your operating profit here is because of the addition of these $100 million clients. Your $100 million clients are why your profit margins are better, which is why when TCS will look at this graph or these trends, they would interpret and understand that my sales team has done a great job. My employees or my operations, they need to be more and more efficient. They need to get the same work done by lesser people, by lesser people, by lesser. All right, that's what we have right now. Any further questions that any of you have right now before we close the session? Anybody has any closing questions about the program, about the timings and so on? All right, over to you, Sunipa.
Thank you, sir. Irene has asked something.
So
Okay.
for final, what time are the lectures? Right. Irene, the batches have to be scheduled. They would be looking at everybody's convenience. Yes, they are live lectures. They're going to be exactly like this. The way this webinar was, it is going to be exactly the same. There are going to be 6, 7, 10 people on the other side, and somebody like me or somebody else will be giving the training. It is going to be about 2 to 3 hours each session. More than that is going to be difficult for both of us. We are going to try and keep it either in the evenings or in the weekends. It's going to be a scheduling matter, and everybody, we are mostly going to be making sure that we can accommodate everyone's time. So we are not going to be that fixed. Anyways, it's a webinar, so it's not really like I'm paying a rent or something based on people's convenience. So scheduling is something that can be worked out. Anything else? Anybody else? Any other question?
Okay, so I think okay.
Whatever session is missed, right? So Irene, like right now, you may not have noticed, but or you may have noticed, I'm recording every single webinar. Like this webinar also will be uploaded on YouTube, but as a private link, and everybody who pays for it will be getting. So this webinar was free, so everybody will be getting the link. But for the paid ones, the subscription, the people who have subscribed, like you would be getting the link for this recording. You can have a look at the recording and you can come back again with any questions. If you want a refresher or a reference, then obviously for the 4 weeks period that we are connected as in this certification program, you can ask any questions during. So you will be provided with a recording of this every single session. Anything else? Anybody? Okay. Thank you to you too, Irene. Thank you very much. Surepa, yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, thank you, sir, for giving us your time. And thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar. For any other questions, you can just reach out to me. All of you have my number in the WhatsApp group. I'll be just rolling out a feedback form. If time permits, you can just fill up the form. It will be good for us to schedule more such webinars with your convenience. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. We close by this.
Thank you.